During our early stages when Vivian was writing the screenplay, we had always visualized the White Wall to be like a place like Burma. The environment, the buildings, all exuded the same feeling and this reality. It was scary, yet it was beautiful. No one has ever filmed there before, and we would be the first filmmakers outside of Burma to actually film this location and bring it back to show it to the world.
A place where they had very similar styles. There would be sidewalk cafes and chai wallas making milk tea, and I thought that was wonderfully fascinating. When I was telling James the story of White Wall, I kept bringing up Burma, and once he was there, then he realized, this is it. This is White Wall.
Before arriving to Burma, I knew exactly what I was looking for. I was looking for colonial buildings that had a mix of different cultures. When I got to Burma and I actually started seeing these buildings and started taking pictures of these buildings, I realized that this is exactly perfect for this film, and I just had to capture it. I knew that a lot of these colonial buildings were being torn down, and if I were able to capture some of these buildings, this film would have a historical element to it. There was this one time when Arle, Vivian, and I got on a raft and we were going through the jungle, and I was just thinking to myself, God, what am I doing here? And then we got off and we went to this lake bed. It was like a dry lake bed, and it's where they farm fishes. And it just had a very surreal experience.
There were a few moments where I really questioned whether we were doing the right things.
We scheduled a meeting with the Film Commission and the government officials. And it was a very scary experience for us all because when we got there, these government officials were really high up in the government. But after we showed them our teaser trailer, they were immediately impressed by what we were going to do, and they granted us permission to film there. We got so far as to locate the only 35mm camera in all of Burma, and we drove 3 hours to ask the owner permission for us to use it. After a couple weeks, I would say, when we came back to the United States, we got a phone call, and it was from the film commissioner. And he notified us that the permission that they granted was denied, and that the government officials that we spoke to who liked their film were being replaced by other government officials.
When they had told us the bad news and they said that there's nothing that they could do about it, I looked over at Vivian and Arle, and we all had that feeling of putting all our eggs in one basket and then just having it all crushed. Our dreams at that point withered away. I really thought twice about whether we were capable of shooting a post-apocalyptic film.
After that initial shock, we had to think of what we were going to do and go with plan B. And that's when we began to look for other places and other locations to film.
After going through hundreds of possibilities, I started to lose hope. I bought a plane ticket to Malaysia to go location scouting. But once we started looking around, we realized that trying to find a replacement for Burma would be nearly impossible. It just so happened to be our luck that when we made a stop at Macau, they had exactly what we were looking for.
Aside from this big city and all the big skyscraping casinos, hidden was this little village called the Cologne Village, which is right next to the China-Macau sea border. And right when we stepped foot into that little village, I knew it was perfect.